We desperately need more apprentices, and we need to make apprenticeships and the trades attractive for people to address the problems that our society is facing at the moment. And in really across the board, the lack of skills that we need to solve big social problems is enormous. So most obviously in the housing crisis we're facing, there is a desperate need for qualified tradespeople, and that means apprentices in order to build the houses that we need and indeed to refurbish the vacant properties and the derelict properties that we need to solve the housing crisis. We also need that for climate change, for the retrofitting of homes, hundreds of thousands of homes that need to be retrofitted, but again we don't have enough people skilled in these areas, and to build the schools that are needed, and so many other areas where we are desperately in need of talent, and we have shortages. And it's worth saying that one of the reasons we have these problems, and this is part of like the thing I want to say here, is that we had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people working in construction during the Celtic Tiger period, and because of the disastrous approach we had to housing in this country of letting developers and speculators and banks dictate the housing sector, that sector collapsed along with the rest of the economy, and people fled out of construction. And didn't ever want to come back to it. A lot of them are working as taxi drivers and so on now because they didn't want to go back into construction. So that precarity, that lack of security in many of these areas is critical. So one thing I think is we need a state construction company, and our local authorities should be taking on apprentices to train in the areas we need, so the local authorities have the capacity to build, to refurbish and so on, and to do all the other things local authorities do in terms of infrastructure. But even though there's a lip service now being paid to the need and some improvement in terms of trying to expand apprenticeship places, there are huge problems. Many apprentices basically are suffering extreme economic hardship. Many of them are now older as well, so they have obligations, they have families, they have mortgages and so on, they have transport costs, but yet they have to pay €1,000 in fees. Those should be scrapped immediately. When they're going to college, they don't get to access SUSI grants. They should have the same SUSI supports and other supports when they're in college as anybody else. And a critical issue is apprentices need to be given college places near where they live. If they are, working and paying rent in Dublin but given a college place in Donegal, they may have to get digs in Donegal, or vice versa, pay all the transport costs to get there, and while some apprentices may be getting the benefit of sectoral agreements, so their pay isn't too bad, others are not getting those things. Mechanics, for example, are particularly poorly paid as apprentices. The sectoral agreements don't really work for them, but also in many parts of the country, apprentices are on poverty wages but working below minimum wage and don't have the supports necessary to carry them through. So we need to provide those supports, we need to situate apprentices near where they live in terms of college places, and we need to get rid of fees and give SUSI supports to our apprentices.
Okay, thank you.